Ropecon.
My name is Pohjola, and I'm going to be talking about Age of the Tempest, which is a beginner-friendly fantasy role-playing game, adventure role-playing game that we published in Finnish 3 years ago, and now this year finally in English. Myself, I'm a tabletop role-playing game designer. This is my fourth published tabletop role-playing game. The first ones were Minstrel, the Star Trek role-playing game, and Tähti, and now I've come to completion with this. I've also organized LARPs, fantasy LARPs for fun, and then I have political, artistic LARPs for other purposes, art festivals and such. For my day job, I try to combine tabletop LARP storytelling with mainstream media, creating what's called transmedia or participatory storytelling. And I've also written a couple of non-role-playing books. The most recent one, 1827, is just published 2 days ago in Ropecon and will be in stores tomorrow. It's about the Great Fire of Turku, a historical novel. I've also dabbled a little bit in digital games, and my training is in, I'm a Master of Arts from screenwriting for TV and film. Right now I'm working on a TV show. And this is me talking about myself as like a meta thing. Alright, Minstrel Sankarit. It's I launched it 4 years ago at Ropecon, the crowdfunding campaign for Minstrel Sankarit, the predecessor, or the Finnish version, the original version of Age of the Tempest. Launched the crowdfunding campaign 4 years ago and published it 3 years ago. The idea is that it's a beginner-friendly tabletop role-playing game that's really good, that comes in a box, that's sold also at regular stores, not just gaming stores. So we can reach the people who are not yet gamers, but only lack like a certain push to become gamers. And before that, they won't go to the gaming store since they're not gamers yet. And it's based on a little bit on my first role-playing game, Minstrel, which was published as a softcover book. This was like a predecessor to Minstrel Sankarit. Set more or less in the same world, except with elves and orcs, which I then removed because all the fantasy worlds have elves and orcs, so I wanted to get rid of them. And also plenty of other fantasy cliches, which I threw out and came up with my own stuff instead. Other inspirations include the Disney movie The Black Cauldron and the Chronicles of Prydain that it's based on. It's awesome, a little bit scary actually. Very scary, actually, for a PG-12 movie. Robin Hood, big inspiration. The Hobbit, The Sword in the Stone, and the Arthurian stories, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And then Narnia, which I loved as a child. Even my son is called Aslan. Star Wars, a fairly big inspiration. ElfQuest, I don't know if ElfQuest exists anymore, but it was like 15 years ago, it was huge. And then, just to make it less Anglo-Saxon, less American, I also had a lot of influence from Finnish mythology, Kalevala, and Finnish folklore, and Sami mythology, and then Russian and Slavic folk tales. This is from the story of Vasilisa the Beautiful, in the picture here, where she goes to meet meet Baba Yaga, the witch, living in that cabin over there. And the cabin is guarded by a fence of skulls or skeletons. And in Age of the Tempest, when you go to visit the witch, of course her cabin is also guarded by a fence of skulls, and then they attack you, and you have to fight them. So 4 years ago, we launched the crowdfunding campaign for Minstrel. My plan then was to make a demo game that I could then show to actual role-playing, like board game publishers, and explain to them, okay, this is what a role-playing game is, and this is what it's going to look like. And if you give me the money, I will then commission actual art instead of art that I borrowed from my friends, like this one of Conan the Barbarian and the Wolves from Petri Hiltunen. And I thought, okay, I'm going to just get what pictures I can, and then sort of make the role-playing game around those. So I guess fighting wolves naked would be a big part of that game. But then, to my surprise, the crowdfunding campaign went very well. Our goal was $12,500, so that's like 10,000 euros. I figured, okay, for that money I could finance the printing of the game myself and borrow the art, and then I'd have a demo, and then somebody else could figure it out. I'd make like a print run of 1,000. I'd give a copy to all the backers, all the financiers, and then fill out copies to bookstores and board game publishers and so on, to explain what this is, like to open the doors. The campaign was a success. We raised more money than we hoped for, and also we got contacted by artists saying, hey, this is a cool project, can we make some original art for you? So instead of borrowing art, I could actually have new art that's like what you do with a proper role-playing game, which is nice. So then the plans started getting bigger and more ambitious. This also resulted in a lot of media attention, because like half the journalists in Finland are former role players, and everybody was, yeah, awesome, somebody's going to do this again. So we had a lot of attention from like web media and gaming media, but also like regular newspapers and stuff. And back then, crowdfunding was also a big new thing. I think this was the first crowdfunded game in Finland. And this allowed for me to these two things, the media attention and the successful crowdfunding, meant that I could actually approach a publisher without a demo, figuring, okay, if I get the art, and I already have proof of concept since many people put their money behind this, come on in.
We'll be here later. Thanks.
All right. And the media attention meant that okay, at least some people are very interested in this. So I could go to a regular board game publisher and saying, hey, do you want to publish something like this? So I went to Tactic, which is located in Pori, in Western Finland, and it's one of the biggest, I think the fourth biggest board game company in Europe. And they publish a lot of games. Kimble is maybe the most widely known, and Mölkky in Finland. I called their managing director, Markku Heljakka, who'd been working at the company for many decades, and before it was founded by his father, and he's now the manager. And I told him, hey, this is me, and I'd like to propose that you publish a tabletop role-playing game. Obviously, 20 years ago, tabletop role-playing games used to be sold in bookstores, I told him, but now they're not. But you and I, we can make it happen again. And he's like, yeah, I remember, like in 1988, when I was the sales director at this company, we published a game called Ankh, Adventurers of the North, Kalevala Heroes, which is supposed to be based on Finnish mythology, and that's why it has an English name and an Egyptian abbreviation. And as you can see, it's a typical Akseli Gallen-Kallela inspired picture of the role-playing in like the late 80s or early 90s, there were a couple of big games sold everywhere, and if you were a gamer, you played either Dungeons and Dragons or RuneQuest if you were 2 years older, or Ankh. And Ankh was sold everywhere. It was sold at gas stations for like 5 marks. Because they printed so much of it and they couldn't get rid of it, so they had to figure it out. So he said, yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah, it sold pretty well, but then we had these problems and we couldn't make a sequel because we had to get rid of all the extra Ankhs that we had. But maybe it's time to try again. So he said yes. And then I got a regular board game publisher to publish Myrskysankaret, and I could use the money to actually get artists and play test properly and make it look good. And then lo and behold, it was again sold at bookstores and supermarkets and toy stores, and of course also gaming stores. But many people picked it up when they went grocery shopping and they figured out, oh, here's an interesting new game, role-playing game. I don't know what that is, but it says it's nice. And in the box, like nobody makes box sets anymore. Role-playing games usually, when you buy a role-playing game, it's a book. But this time I wanted to make it seem like a game. Like if you don't know what a role-playing game is and you get a book, you don't think it's going to be a game, you think it's going to be a book. So I wanted it to be in a box that when you shake it, it rattles, so it feels like a game. And in the box, you have everything you need to play: a player's guide, the game master's guide, a map, character sheets, and dice. I figured that's very important. And on the cover, inside cover of Player's Guide, a picture of what role-playing is. Like this is what it looks like when an outsider looks at a gaming table. There's a couple of people rolling dice when writing stuff on pieces of paper and talking. But this is what it feels like. This is what they're experiencing, even though you can't see it. This is what's happening. And I also figured that what these people are doing is very important, but also what this person is doing is also very important. And game mastering is like another hobby, almost, than playing a role-playing game. And I wanted this to be like not just a game for a beginning roleplay, but also for a beginning game master. So the game master's guide is assumes that the game master has never mastered a game before and teaches the ropes while they're game mastering. First he said, okay, read this to the players and then ask them what they want to do. If they say this, then ask them to roll the dice. Okay, now read this. And then the game master learns how to come up with their own monsters and own riddles and own adventures and so on as the game progresses. The story of Age of the Tempest is set in Smokewood Forest. An evil emperor it's part of the land of Nathar. An evil emperor has seized control of the land of Nathar, and there's a band of brave rebels fighting against the forces of the evil emperor. And these brave rebels are called Greenhoods. You think it's a little bit like Robin Hood and his merry men living in Sherwood Forest, and this would be like a fantasy version with the Greenhoods living in Smokewood Forest. You would be absolutely correct. That's exactly what's going on. And instead of the Sheriff of Nottingham and his knights, we have the evil knight Julius Pelorian and his eagle warriors, who are constantly after the Greenhoods. In this game, you play the Greenhoods. If you didn't figure it out, they're the good guys. So, and here's the sort of map of what's happening. Chapter 1 happens here at Temple Ruins, and this is where Julius Pelorian lives, and then something happens here, and something happens here, and then there's mysteries that will be solved later, and then stuff where nothing happens yet, but the game master is welcome to come up with their own stuff. And here it says camp. that's a mistake in a way because it's a secret camp. It's a secret camp of the Green Hoods. They have huts on treetops and cool stuff like that. Instead of Robin Hood, the Green Hoods are led by the former knight Helga Netherbolt. And instead of Little John, we have Sarkan the Stallo. I'll explain the Stallo later. They're a key feature in Age of the Tempest. And instead of Friar Tuck, we have Boris the Warlock Boris. And their good-looking friend, the Arnie Dalberian. So these are the supporting cast who give tasks to the players and train them and who give them advice. And in the beginning, they're this is the band that the players join. The players, we have in Minstrel we have 7 character classes, and then we have a supplement with 2 more. And in Age of the Tempest we have 9 character classes, which are the Knight, the Wizard, the Witch. I thought long and hard, but I figured Witch is cooler and more interesting than Wizard. In Finnish it's Velho, which could be translated either way. And then the Ranger, and these are like more or less typical fantasy role-playing game character classes. And all of them would have, for their own reasons, abandoned civilized society and joined the rebel Green Hoods to fight for justice, or to fight for their family, or to fight for honor, or for whatever reason. And then we have 3 fantasy races unique to Age of the Tempest. The first one, as I mentioned, is the Stallo. They're based on Sami mythology. In Lapland, the Stallo are like man-eating trolls that everybody's afraid of. Here they're a former proud warrior race who are now enslaved in the land of Nathar, and they fight for their freedom. And sometimes you can see, walking around Smokewood Forest, you can still find some ruins of Stallo temples or Stallo statues. Then we have the Arni, who are based on Finnish mythology. They are androgynous, mysterious creatures. In every picture of an Arni, there's always an animal, because for some reason animals are drawn to them and drawn together with them. In Finnish mythology, if you walk in the forest on a clear day and you come across a pond, like a small lake, and there's trees growing next to the pond, and they're reflected in the water, in the still water, it seems almost like there's an underground world inside that lake. And that is where the Arni live. They're like Finnish equivalent to gnomes or elves or something like that. And in Age of the Tempest, that is where the Arni live, and sometimes they walk through the surface and to the sunlit world above for their mysterious reasons, and some of them join the Green Hoods, not fully comprehending human society. And then perhaps the most popular character class is the Whiskerling. It's not based on any mythology. It's just really cute and funny and clever and sort of half animal, half human. Sometimes a little bit annoying, sometimes a little bit too clever for his own good. Always very furry. Then we had 2 character classes that we introduced in the Finnish version, in the supplement that I decided to include here, which are the Minstrel. In medieval times, minstrels were sort of half entertainers, half pagan priests or priestesses, especially especially in Eastern Europe. And that's essentially what they're here. And they have these, like, not exactly magical powers, but powers that have very strong effects, like dancing or playing in a very charismatic way, and then people start to think stuff that they shouldn't think, or start to, like, for example, if your job is to guard the castle, no one can enter, and then a minstrel comes along and sings a song, and you're so enthralled that people just go right behind you inside the castle. And then the princess or prince, in like half of the fantasy movies of the world, the main character is a princess. In a role-playing game, you can never play a princess. So I figured in this game, you're going to have to be able to play a princess. Or prince. And all of the characters have like they come with, they start, the character creation is supposed to be pretty easy. So in the beginning you have like, you can choose, okay, you have this power or this power, and it's different for all of them, of course. And your weapon when you begin it's this. And the princess, I figure I don't want like you can make a warrior princess and then you buy a sword or get a sword and then you fight with that. But in the beginning, the princess has a scepter, which is a symbol for power. But in this case, it's also super handy for knocking off opponents and taking their balance. The princesses are also like super trained in using them, and nobody else can use them since they're scepters. Meant only for the best. And not like if you have like a group of 5 princesses, not all of them would be like the daughters of the dethroned king of Nathar. They would be the daughters of counts or princes or dukes. So they will also fit in this character class. And then we have one more character class, one more human character class, which when playtesting this, half the playtesters told me that I can't have this character class in the game. It's forbidden. It will destroy the game, and nobody in their right mind is going to play that character class. So just take it out. The other half said, I want to play this. So it's the swineherd. Swineherd is not a very common character in movies, but in fairy tales, if the main character is not a princess, it's a swineherd. So I figured, okay, so the swineherd is going to be the lowest of the low. It's going to be ugly, bad-smelling, stupid, weak. It has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, except for the whip, which is cool. Other than that, it's like the worst character class. And my original logic for this was that if I have one bad character, then all the other character classes are going to seem so much cooler. Like if everybody's a superhero, then nobody is a superhero. But if there's one non-superhero in the group, then all the other ones are going to be much better. But in fact, it turned out that when parents play the game with their children, usually it's like if mom is the game master, then dad plays the swineherd, and then the kids play the cooler characters. And then explaining each character class, we have there's like two pages for each of them, explaining like what their role is in the game and in the society. For knight, for example, okay, you grew up in a castle and you're a member of a noble family and you had training in this and this. And then examples of characters like this in other fiction. For the witch, for example, it could be Pohjola from the Bulgarian, or Gandalf, or Harry Potter. Then examples of names that you could use, and then some game mechanics, like your abilities, how strong are you, how smart are you, and such. what skills you have in the beginning, what your weapons are. Here's some examples of whistling names if I read them. Bear Claw, Forkbeard, Foxfeather, Full Moon, Ice Hair, Lightning, Redroot, Rainbow, Lingonberry, Nightshade. And then obviously we have the dice, which I mentioned earlier. You can, of course, nowadays you can have a role-playing game without dice, but I figured playing around with the dice and getting to know the strengths, different dice, that's like a part of the appeal of role-playing games. And then the player's guide itself, it begins not with the characters or with the rules, but it begins with a story. And story/game. So once you start reading it, you're immediately playing, and then through playing you get to know the rules of the game and the world of the story, and you encounter some key characters like Inya, the blind witch, and also Julius Peloria, the evil knight. And in the game, in the Game Master's Guide, there's 6 chapters that you play through, like 6 adventures that form together a larger whole about the search for the sword of the Great King, of the High King. And in each chapter, there's always a riddle, and there's role-playing challenges and some fun forest stuff, but also monsters and treasures, but also monsters, including the Eagle Warriors, the evil demon like Pyra, who snatch your arms or legs and attach them to their own body, very disgusting. And then of course the evil knight, your nemesis, Julius Peloria, was always just one step behind you. And the good guys, apart from the green hoods, include the blind witch Inya, that you encounter in the introductory chapter, and the scoundrel smith and merchant Mortimer Gallows, and his Stallo wife Malvina, the Stallo freedom fighter Urda the Unrelenting, and the strange whistling rain shower. And each chapter is written in such a way that the Game Master can just, the first one, just read it out loud, no preparation needed, and everything is ready, including pictures, enemies, maps, other enemies, and riddles. And then in episode 2, a riddle, monster. But in episode 2, you also have to figure out the stats for the monster. So it's not, everything is not written out perfectly in advance. Of course I could have, but instead the Game Master has to figure out, okay, so this is the Ramble Badger with only one eye, it's a huge badger that attacks the characters. So how many hit points does it have, how difficult it's going to be to beat it, what's the weak point of the Ramble Badger, and so on. In episode 3, more enemies. Here we also see the moon of Nathar, which is a skull, or a human skull. In this game, the Game Master actually has to design one whole room in that cave that they're searching through. If somebody's going to play it, I'm not going to spoil it too much. But the chapter 5 is the most loosely written, so there's like a beginning and an end, but in the middle, the Game Master really has to almost figure out the whole adventure. And the last chapter is that's pre-written, and that's where the adventure reaches its climax. And it's We had it on sale at gaming stores and conventions. It's sold right here, for example. It was sold also at bookstores and supermarkets. For Age of the Tempest, I'm still working on that. Right now it's sold on Finnish game stores, Ropecon, then online, and in Sweden at the SF Bokhandeln games and fantasy store. I'm still working out how to get it distributed to gaming stores around the world. So if you have any hints on that, please come forward. But the first translation for Myrskyn Sankarit is more direct than Age of the Tempest. Myrskyn Sankarit in English means Heroes of the Storm. So we translated it as Heroes of the Storm, Sword of the Great King. I made a sample printing of it that we then demoed at the Essen Games Fair in Germany to international gamers and international publishers and distributors and retailers. And that's like a huge event. If you think Ropecon is big, then this is like 10 times bigger. A train has just come to the Essen Fair train station and people are massive amount of people coming in, and 15 minutes later, another massive amount. So it's not just tabletop role-playing, it's mostly board games and like family games, and it's like a regular fun stuff all around, but also cosplay, of course. So we demoed Heroes of the Storm. I made this big roll-ups about Heroes of the Storm and many copies of Heroes of the Storm, and here I'm running Heroes of the Storm for a group from Flanders or Belgium, someplace. This was, I think, in 2012. So what happens next is a company called Blizzard, world's biggest video game company, says that their upcoming game called Blizzard Dota is not going to be called Blizzard Dota anymore. It's going to be called Heroes of the Storm. And in Heroes of the Storm, you can play characters from different Blizzard games, like from Diablo or Warcraft or Starcraft. And it's great. It's perfectly great, except if you're a person who's already published a game called Heroes of the Storm, in which case it's not so great. So we had a lot of talks with a Blizzard vice president of the legal department about Heroes of the Storm, and they of course had like a million lawyers, and they'd already registered the trademark or had applied to register the trademark, but I already used it and had actual proof that I printed the game and I'd run it. So it could have been a lot of problems for them. Of course, they also could have caused even more problems for me. So we had a lot of midnight talks. He's in California, I'm in Helsinki. So when he's eating his morning, his breakfast, I'm just about to go to bed, and then we have these Skype calls about what to do. My first suggestion was, well, maybe you should change your name. No. Not gonna happen. And this also went to Games Media. They haven't written about Age of the Tempest, but they did write about Heroes of the Storm feud in Finnish media, and Thai media, and Chinese media, and Russian media. They went crazy about it. That's because of Blizzard, of course, not because of me. But that still is like a big thing. And then, of course, people on gaming forums started discussing it. Sounds like the guy just wants to be a D-bag. Probably it was one of the people caught using botting software or something. What idiot funds and publishes something without a trademark? Yeah, well, valid point. He didn't protect his property. Blizzard probably was unaware of an independent Finnish tabletop role-playing game of the same name. This isn't some dramatic David versus Goliath story like he claims it is. It's his own fault. And this guy, actually this is probably ironic choice, in support of me, saying, I agree, because he didn't protect it strongly enough, he definitely deserves to lose it. Might makes right, and all that. Random note, on Google Translate, the name actually translates to the Storm Dogs. It doesn't. Dear Finland, you seem like cool dudes to this, but I think you need to know your language really doesn't look like words. It's completely crackers. Orphan language, I know, but I get that, but still, crackers. PPS, Google Translate tells me Blizzard is lumimyrsky and Stars is tähdet. Seriously, Finland, what did I just say? That's great. That's great. Fun fact, more people speak Latin than speak Finnish. Think about this logically. It's Finland. More people play World of Warcraft than live in Finland. I think Blizzard could buy Finland with our subscription dollars. The copyright troll, a modern addition to Finnish folklore. Finn family trademark troll. The Moomins are called the Finn family Moomin troll. So now I'm the Finn family trademark troll. It's Finnish. It's not a huge population of people over there. Kind of a backwater country, for lack of a better word. Not only that, but they failed to register their trademark. Finn dudes should be happy. Blizzard will just buy out the company for several million. They didn't, but we changed our name. I can't tell you how much they paid for it. Oh, so I'm sorry. So when I said that they didn't pay us for $1 million, forget it. I can't tell you how much. But we decided to change our name. And I think actually Age of the Tempest is better. It means the Age of the Storm, but it's cooler. So now that we had the name issue out of the way, time for another crowdfunding campaign, which I figured would net us a lot of money because all the gaming media went nuts over the Heroes of the Storm gate. But they didn't go nuts over this, they forgot about it completely. But I made another video, which I'm going to show you. Let's see if it works. No. Welcome to the launch of Age of the Tempest, a tabletop role-playing game for kids and beginners. My name is Pohjola. I'm the designer and author of the game. When I was a kid, I started role-playing with the Red Box Dungeons and Dragons at the age of 10. It was easy to use, easy to start, and available in my local language at my local store. We want to make that happen again. Back then we had beginner-friendly role-playing games that were available in our local languages in our local supermarkets. Games such as the Dungeons and Dragons Red Box and its sequels, Middle-earth role-playing game, and many local role-playing games that had a huge impact on the hobby. We should have a game like that today, but we don't. But we're going to make one. We crowdfunded Age of the Tempest 2 years ago in Finland, and now the Finnish language edition is available in our local supermarkets and bookstores. Kids all around the country are learning the hobby of role-playing, and now we want to make it happen all around the world. Age of the Tempest is set in a fantasy world that's a blend of unique and familiar. Players take on the role of rebels, fighting against an evil warlock emperor and his dictatorship. Age of the Tempest will be sold in a box that includes dice, game master's guide, player's guide, map, and character sheets. We're not asking for your money to make the game. We have the game. We already have the game design, we have the story, we have the layout, and we have amazing art from Jari Paananen, Marko Laine, Paul Norotaus, and Petri Hiltunen. We need your help to make Age of the Tempest available for the kids in your neighborhood. We're asking for your money to translate the game and make it available in your local language at your local bookstore and supermarket. Because that's the only way we can introduce role-playing to the new generation. Thanks. I was asked about if the video is online. It is online. It's on the Indiegogo.com site on Age of the Tempest's page. So if you loved it, you can watch it again. I also got some gaming luminaries declare the support of Age of the Tempest and in hopes of getting more attention for the campaign. And I'm going to show it to you. In the video, I have not 10%, not 20% of the current Ropecon guests of honor this year, not 50%. I have 100% of this year's Ropecon guests of honor supporting Age of the Tempest. And other people.
My name is Mark Riley, and I support Age of the Tempest. I'm James Edward Ranji IV, and I support Age of the Tempest.
My name is Pohjola, and I support Age of the Tempest, because if we can get kids to play more role-playing games, that would be awesome.
Hi, I'm Ross Watson, author, game designer, and host of the Gamers Tavern podcast, and I support Age of the Tempest.
Age of the Tempest, a tabletop role-playing game for kids and beginners. In Finnish, we also have a couple of supplements. Actually, we just run out of Ropecon, an adventure by Ville Vuorela. I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to explain them in detail. Vihollinen Vihollisia is a sort of a monster manual with really cool pictures. Ropecon is an adventure, which actually we have translated and published it in English, so it is available in English as The Cursed Cauldron, which is also the Ropecon is also almost synonymous with Hiidenpata, which is the Finnish translation of the Black Cauldron, and it's sort of based on the same Celtic mythology. This one is not for like 6-year-olds. I'm waiting until my son is 10 and then we can play. Another whistling. And then I wanted to start a series of fantasy books, fantasy stories in this world. That's Warlock Boris here, taking this young man on a forest adventure. And then Raudan Laulu is the latest one aimed for players. We published it in November last year, and that's where we introduced 2 new character classes of the Minstrel and the Princess or Prince. And we also, there's lots of like new weapons and new spells and new skills, and new information about the world of Nathar and the religions of Nathar. So please, if you're interested in this, please run games for non-gamers or gamers. Buy it and give it as a gift to future role players. Either blog about it or, I don't know, take a picture here and share it on social media. Hashtag Age of the Tempest. If you're a journalist or friends with journalists, let them know. And especially if you're involved with a distributor or a shop that sells role-playing games, then get them in touch with me and we'll make sure that they carry Age of the Tempest. And I would love to get Age of the Tempest published in Swedish, in German, in French, in Norwegian, in Swahili, Arabic. And the one motivation for making an English translation is that it can then be the seed for future translations. Since many people understand English, not very many people understand Finnish. So if you're a Russian role-playing game publisher, then translate this into Russian. And if you're constantly blogging about or tweeting about or snapping about Ropecon, please take a picture of this and snap it or tweet it or gram it or share it and hashtag Age of the Tempest and recommend it to everybody. And of course, it's you can also find it online, ageofthetempest.com, and by googling Age of the Tempest. So that's it for me. I'm afraid we ran out of time for questions in this room, but I'm going to be right outside if you want to talk or if you want to buy the game. It's 30 euros for the box and I think 16 euros for the adventure, but we made it like 40 euros if you buy buy both of them. They're available at the market area, but also right here, right now. Thank you very much.
Ropecon.